Hello. So, hi, this is Veronica and Sandra and Maria Luisa. And we have the pleasure to have Tom Compton today with us. Hi, Tom.
Hola.
Hi.
Hello, friends.
Hi, we're very excited to have you today with us, and we, um, yeah, appreciate your time being here
Uh,
with us today.
thanks for the invitation.
And yeah, also, like we are excited to talk about the work with you.
Hmm.
And we know that you share the work through events and that you have a podcast and weekly meditation. So different ways that you are using to share the work of Byron Katie.
Yeah.
And we three we have had the opportunity to work with you in your events or in person.
Mm.
So we are excited to bring you to Italy and to get Italians to know
Oh,
you
great.
and
Me
and
too.
and the way you do the work also. So yeah, maybe just starting with how how do you work and how do you use the work of Byron Katie, and yeah, what is it about?
Okay. Well, it's a really simple meditation process, or for me, it's a meditation, and very simple, something that anyone can learn to do and practice, in like an hour. Um, And there's basically two parts to the work, identifying what we're believing, as in becoming aware of our beliefs. And we usually start with a negative reaction. Um, and that's usually the best place to start because many of the beliefs that run our life uh, are more subconscious. They're not necessarily a part of our conscious stream of thoughts. And so the negative feelings, negative emotions, or reactions are like a doorway into the subconscious beliefs. So most of us have been uh, conditioned since birth to believe um, limiting, stressful beliefs about ourselves, about others, about the world, about God. And so the negative emotions can help us bring those conditioned beliefs up into the surface, into our awareness. And then once they're up in our awareness, um, you could say that's like half the battle, half the process. And then the second part of the work is just to question those beliefs. Four questions: Is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? How do you react when you believe that thought? And who would you be without it? And each one of those questions is its own guided meditation. Each one has a different gift in understanding or awareness, and ultimately leads to, um, eventually leads to the release of these limiting and stressful beliefs. And then the last part is the turnaround, where you take whatever belief you're working on and you turn it around to the opposite or the other. As an example, if I'm working on the thought, my wife doesn't listen to me, and so then the opposite would be my wife does listen to me, and then I would just contemplate from that perspective, could there be some truth to this opposite perspective that she does listen to me? And so it invites us to look from this completely opposite perspective, which is can be very enlightening, and as Katie often says, the work can be the self-realization of our own hypocrisy. So she does listen to me. That's one turnaround. I don't listen to her would be another turnaround. And then I could if I want to be honest with myself, if I want my freedom, I'll honestly look, could that be just as true? I don't listen to her. And then maybe I see hundreds of ways where I don't listen. There's the self-realization of my own hypocrisy. And then another turnaround would be like, I don't listen to myself. And then I might notice, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm just talking, uh, wanting her to listen, and I'm not even listening to what I'm saying. So that's the work in a nutshell. Very, very simple, and yet it's also very profound. The freedom and the realizations that can come from this very simple process. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dom. And
Mm-hmm.
so do you think, or how do you think that the work, as you explained now, but as a practice, like can support people that are dealing with pain, depression, stress, and all kind of discomforts that are keeping them from living a happy life, a peaceful life? Because maybe it's not like just doing it once and then
Yeah.
how?
Yeah. Well, everyone's different. Some people are touched by it and it becomes a life practice, and others find some freedom around a specific thing, like maybe relationship or money or body stuff, and find some freedom and peace in a specific area of this human experience, and that's enough for them. So and some people it doesn't make any sense at all, and they move on to something else. But
Yeah.
for me,
So
that
is
was
it like you can work on different topics and
yeah. The work can support us in finding clarity and peace of mind in all the different areas of being human. From health to relationship to work and money and our relationship with God or the universe. They can support us in um, finding clarity and peace of mind, which is ultimately what everyone's looking for. I read recently where Katie described happiness as our real nature, and that for her, happiness is peace and clarity. And also, a very radical statement that she made is, the work helps us identify and question the beliefs that cause all the suffering on the planet. And it's a very bold, radical statement, and it's for those who are interested, it's basically an invitation to test that out on our own life. If I can see where is it possible that I've been causing all of my suffering through my thinking, which was something that I was very lucky at, because I saw that um, like almost the first time I saw Katie. Right, all of a sudden I saw clearly that I had been causing all of my suffering through the stories I was believing, the concepts I believed, and also I saw that I was giving me what I wanted, which was to suffer for having hurt me or having caused my suffering.
Mhm.
And so I saw I was doing all of it, and in that moment, it was like the stories released, or the mind released completely, and there was this like rock solid, unshakable peace that showed up when that all released. And then over time, I discovered, oh, this unshakable peace, that's who we really are. That's our real nature is, imperturbable, unshakable, rock solid peace. And so many people stay with the work because they're interested in what's called self-realization, the realization of the self. And the mystics and masters have been telling us that the happiness and the peace and the love that we're looking for is our real nature. That's what we are. So in that sense, everyone is looking for self-realization. Everyone's looking for themselves. It's just we put it on, house and relationship and job and fame and health and all kinds of. We've put what we're looking for onto the world, basically. Mm-hmm. So the work guides us to turn that around and go within. And over time, we realize what we've been looking for is ourself, and the only thing covering up the truth of what we are all the beliefs we have, again, about ourselves, about others, about God, about life, that block the conscious awareness of our real nature. So as we undo the stories, our real nature begins to rise up. We become more conscious of our real nature. So people start to experience more peace, more happiness, more joy, begin to have an optimistic outlook on life, and good things just seem to begin to fall into people's lap as they become happier and more peaceful. And, so most people start to experience an external change in their world as well, with the undoing of these stressful limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, it's an amazing process and so simple.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and the nice thing that we can taste it and experience it through your podcast and your many episodes also.
Oh, yeah. Yay. That's so great to hear. Yeah.
Yes, and I had a question about it, and you begin always or nearly always with a meditation or reading something special before you invite us to immerse ourselves in the work. And so I wanted to know about a little bit more about your way to approach to the work like this.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the last couple of years, been doing more guided meditations. I guess I've done it for quite a while. And as far as I can tell, all the guided meditations are in relation to question number 4. Who would you be without your story? So often I'll read a quote, usually from Katie, but sometimes from some sacred poetry or another author that I think is, a mystic or someone who's an awake human. And then the meditation will be just a guide to experience what the words are pointing to, which to me is always related to the experience of who we are without our story. And then from there, in the groups, we'll identify some stories or limiting beliefs, or I'll ask people, how was that meditation, or what came up for you in the reading, and usually in that dialogue, some universal belief will show up that, most everyone can relate to. And then we'll go into the process of questioning that belief as a group, which is always helpful as well, because everyone sees things a little differently, and they share what they're seeing as we go through the 4 questions, and that process can help other people see, oh yeah, I see, when I'm believing that story, I see, what somebody else had shared. I isolate or whatever it is. So I really love the group work because we get to, everyone has the opportunity to share what they're seeing, and that often helps other people see something that they didn't see when they were sitting with one of the questions. But once it's shared, it's like, oh yeah, I see that too. In that scene is where we begin to release the stories. Or
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you. So,
Yay.
through doing the work, it is possible to feel completely free from fear regarding a reality like death,
Regarding
regarding illness and death.
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 death?
Yes.
Death.
Yes, it is definitely possible to be free of the fear of death. So yeah.
You have to do a lot of work.
Well, every time we go into question 4, so there's, again, the 4 questions. Is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? And then question number 3, which is how do you react when you believe that thought? So in question number 3, you get to see how the thought is causing the fear.
Mhm.
It's causing the negative reaction. And then in question 4, you have the opportunity to be without that thought. The invitation is to, as best you can, be without that belief, be without that thought, and just notice your experience. Traditionally, the way that question is phrased is who or what would you be without that thought? And I like what would you be? But even more, I like notice, allow yourself to be without that thought and simply notice your experience. And so it is possible for someone to get a glimpse in question number 4 very early in the process that their real nature is fearless. It's already free of fear. But you can, especially in question number 3, how do you react when you believe it? When you see, oh, the fear I'm experiencing is actually coming from this belief, and not from reality, you could say, but my story about reality. So you can experience this the truth of who we are, who we are without our story, very early on, and actually experience that this presence that I really am is already free of fear. And then it doesn't mean you won't go back into fear, but that glimpse, that taste is, question 4 is an experience. All of the questions are experiential, which is something I love about the work. You don't have to accept any concepts. It's all about your own experience, which is where the freedom is, where the real value is. So we're not, you're not asked to accept some other belief. Um, um, everything comes back to your own experience, and then the turnarounds are an invitation to live this new awareness as well. But yeah, it can take quite a while to be to live more and more without the fear of death, without the fear of dying. To begin to realize that we're not a body, we're not the body, and we're not even the mind or the thinking. We're pure consciousness or pure awareness, and which is beyond the mind, beyond the body, and completely safe. Like the truth of who we are is the safe place we're all looking for.
Yes.
And we're all looking for safety.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And Tom, just following a little bit on Maria Luisa's question, do you think like people that are experiencing like physical sensations or pain, and when they work with thoughts regarding this, like when it could be illness or something like that, is it possible, like when you have like the proof of the pain and then you question thoughts about this and how to deal with the
it
mix
is,
of it?
yeah. I mean, physical pain and disease they're very challenging to work with for sure, because we're so strongly identified as a body. And yes, it's definitely possible to experience peace of mind while the body is in pain or physically ill, for sure. And then you can go all the way and realize that you're not a body at all, and and in that awareness or understanding, you just it's like you set the body free to do whatever it's doing, and you no longer attach your happiness or your peace of mind to what the body's doing. But then that also applies. We no longer attach our peace and happiness to what our bank account's doing, or what our car is doing, or what our job is doing, or what our partner's doing, or what the world's doing. So, which is one aspect of freedom, when we're no longer attaching our peace and happiness to the body or the world. And that's, some people would call that liberation or freedom.
Wow, tempting.
And I love asking people, like, what do you want for yourself? Conditional peace or unconditional peace? Conditional love or unconditional love? And conditional peace, conditional love is a love and a peace that's dependent on something. And so when you really contemplate that, it's like, oh, I want unconditional peace, unconditional love. I want a love and an experience of love and peace that is not dependent on the body, the mind, or the world. And so, to realize that that's what we really want, is this unconditional peace, unconditional love, experience of love with no conditions, which is where we're the happiest. Realizing that, becoming conscious of that's our real heart's desire, then it makes it much easier to work with difficulties and challenges in our daily life, because right away we can see, even though this is difficult, even though this is challenging, maybe even brings up a lot of fear, we can tell, oh, this is actually helping me with my real heart's desire, which is to experience unconditional peace and unconditional love. And so And then the work is just amazing to facilitate the realization of our heart's desire for that experience.
Yeah, just maybe a last question, if it's possible.
Yeah.
Regarding this, I have heard like people, when I do the work with people sometimes, and they are afraid that when they accept these, like these difficulties and everything that life can bring in challenging experiences, and when we do the work, then it's like we will be okay with it. And it's kind of scary, like then a lot of negative things will come and I will be okay with it. And so
yeah, there's definitely a fear. It does bring up that fear that you mentioned. If I'm unconditionally peaceful, within my relationship, let's say, and let's say my relationship's kind of abusive, or my partner's kind of abusive in some way. And wow, if I'm just completely at peace, I'll just stay in an abusive relationship. So what you're pointing out is, whenever this is my experience, whenever we start to get close to the truth of who we are, you could say the ego, the false self, or whatever, the identified little self, projects scary futures to take us out of the realization, the understanding of our real nature. So whenever we get close, it's like, oh, you'll stay in an abusive relationship. Oh, you'll be a doormat. Because one of the qualities of who we are is open. It's completely open to everything, and at peace with everything. So there's several things that bring up fear around that, and open to everything. We actually think we've been that opposing bad thing, internally opposing bad things from happening, is what keeps them from happening. And if I'm open to everything, including the quote unquote bad things, it's like telling the universe, I want bad things to happen. Give me bad things. And it's actually the opposite. When we're not open to everything, like anything we oppose internally, we have to keep in our consciousness. So now, say I oppose, getting sick, physically sick. Well, because I'm internally actively opposing getting sick, or fearful of it, which is the same, then I keep getting sick in my consciousness. I just keep an image of me getting sick, and I resist it. And so now my life is, I call it a negative relationship with life, where I'm just trying to prevent bad things from happening. My whole life is living and preventing bad things from happening, which is not really living. And so the work can shift that into a positive relationship, but most of the time we run into what you just mentioned, Veronica, with this fear, like, oh my God, if I stop actively, opposing all these terrible things, they're all just going to flood in and happen. And so it's like a moment of courage, where the number 6 in the work, which is different than everything else, it can be so supportive. It's like the mind shows me this scary thing when I get close to the truth of myself, and it's like, well, let's see if it's true. If I just hang out in this peace, let's see if this terrible thing happens. It's like living, is it true? Which takes a certain amount of courage, but which eventually happens because you start to catch on. Oh my God, every time I get close to the truth of me, the mind shows me something scary, and the future is going to happen if I continue living from this more free, peaceful place. And the other thing is, the experience of peace is the absence of dissatisfaction. That's the other aspect. And we're afraid if I'm not dissatisfied, if I'm not thinking something's wrong and I'm dissatisfied, my life's never going to improve. It'll just be this way. So we've all been convinced I need my dissatisfaction. I need my opposition. That's how life improves. And without it, nothing's ever going to change for the better. And that's a complete lie also, which of course has to be realized. But ultimately we discover the real nature of life or reality or self or God is good, and it's infinite, and it's unlimited. And because it's good, infinite, and unlimited, Katie calls it the law. Just when you think your life can't get any better, it does. It has to. It's the law. And so people begin to have those experiences where their life here as a human just keeps getting better and better and better. And at some point we run into our belief that it's limited. And so then we don't trust it. It's almost like we become misers around good experiences. It's like, because if I believe it's limited, well, I don't want to spend all the good experiences now. I need some miserable experiences, so I don't spend all the good because it's limited. Yeah. And so that threshold at some point needs to be crossed as well. But yeah, it's very common to have those projections of the future that scare us away from the truth of who we are. It's like the ego fighting for its life. It's one way that it fights for its life as a separate person.
Yeah. So maybe through the work, we get to experience this more and just keep opening and living from that other side that you are.
Yep. Keep opening and no longer taking the mind's word for it. Just automatically the mind projects that future. Oh my God. We start calling the mind's bluff. It's like, wait a minute. Is that true? It's going to end up like that if I stay in this open place? Is it true? Can I absolutely know that it's true? That's going to be the result. So it's one way to start calling the mind's bluff, or I like to say to take our power back from the mind. We've given the mind the power to scare us. And so one way you can think of it is at that stage that you described, we're taking the power to scare us that we gave to the mind back. So.
Okay, Tom. So any other question?
No, it was already really a path, a complete path for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for the questions and the invitation.
Yeah, Tom, and we are so excited to have you here soon in Italy.
Me too.
And we will have this event with translation to Italian because some people don't speak English. So we are super excited and looking forward to it, and it will be amazing.
Oh, me too. Thank you. Can't wait to.
Thank you, Tom.
Can't wait to do the body things.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.